Now what I'm going to say here in this video is not directed at anybody in particular. In fact, this is more of just a general statement to the reaction I've seen online following the Pokemon Direct. And I will say right now this video will 100% get ranty in parts, but I promise that I'm coming from a good place with this. So let me set the stage by giving you a quick definition for the word satisfied, which is commonly referred to mean content or pleased. And in media of any kind, it's often noted that, quote, you can't please everyone, which is something as an artist and as an individual I can accept. In fact, I've made videos where I've anticipated people would disagree with me for X or Y reason, and that's not for the reaction, but for the fact that everyone is different. In fact, with these remakes, there are grievances and problems with things that I totally get. Not a big fan of the massive hands and small feet in some of the shots? Totally valid. But my problem isn't that there are people thinking a small detail is the major issue. It's that there are people who think that because the Diamond and Pearl remakes aren't exactly what they imagined, that they're innately bad. It's crazy to me how I was at work on a break and I watched the Direct, and immediately felt so excited to pick up these games, only to hours later check Twitter where some people were saying that they'd boycott the series over this. Which I just don't get at all. Mind you that I'm an older fan who enjoys the Sword and Shield / Let's Go art styles, but the general change from sprites to models back in Generation 6 did throw me off at first. But overall, I like that these 3D models remind me more distinctly of those original games in the era they came from. It feels something like a one-to-one recreation of the Sinnoh journey. Now, I can 100% accept that this isn't for everyone. In fact, that's not something I find unexpected either, considering that there are fans of this series of all ages, so some people might not have the same nostalgic feeling towards the style of those games. Which, once again, is entirely valid, and I believe we're all guilty of putting on nostalgia goggles from time to time and looking past flaws. And maybe this is a weird statement to say for some people, but I don't think this art style is inherently flawed. There are definitely issues, like I said. In fact, my friend Lightson pointed out to me in a call we had earlier that those hand and feet proportions I mentioned earlier looked a bit off, as well as the fact that the trailer's lighting in some areas seemed a bit poor. So yeah, there are some odd choices, but once again, I don't think that makes the art direction itself bad. Now, outside of the Direct itself, there's another thing I want to talk about here, and that's expectations. So I want you to post up in a nearby castle, because for Pokemon, expectations are pretty lofty. Niche Spyro the Dragon jokes aside, we all have expectations. Regardless of how high or low they are, we still have them. And with an expectation, we convince ourselves that something will be a certain way. For example, imagine you're a kid playing some Pokemon Leaf Green and your mom pulls into a McDonald's. And you think, boy oh howdy, I'm gonna get some Maccas. But then she just asks you if you want a drink and orders a sweet tea and a Coke for you before paying and driving away. This is a more immediate result, but your expectation wouldn't be met. Even though you still got that sweet medium Coke, you'd still be disappointed strictly because you didn't get what you expected. In a lot of ways, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the Coke of this situation. And while there are people who just sit in their car and be okay with their Coke while playing their Game Boy, conversely there are some people who will make a whole issue about it and throw that same Game Boy away. And trust me when I say it's not the majority of fans. But in our reality, it's those tweets online that I saw a bunch of when it was first announced. Now, does my Twitter speak for all of the Pokemon fandom? Nope, not in the slightest. However, it is a medium to interpret parts of the fandom and see how people take the news on X or Y thing. Pun fully intended. But if we were to move over to the Pokemon Legends announcement for a second, the reception for that seemed overall warmer. But once again, there was one thing that stuck out to me. The starters, which I think are all great aside from maybe Oshawott, which I kinda wish was Froakie, if for no other reason I liked it a bit better. However, overall these starter choices feel ambitious and cool compared to what some may have expected with just getting the Sinnoh starters again. And with these cool choices, there was one major detail that a ton of people latched onto that just blows my mind. You see, rather than being happy that you get these 3 cool starters that people like, some felt the need to notate the absence of a certain fire lizard and make that their favorite part of this. Now listen, I can totally agree that in some aspects, Charmander's evolution line being pushed to the moon can be a bit annoying. But why waste the energy saying thank God he's not a starter instead of just being happy that we got Cyndaquil in the fire typing? And let me say right now that Cyndaquil has been my favorite starter Pokemon since Pokemon Gold on the Game Boy Color. I am elated to see him feature in what's going to be our first pick in those games. But nowhere in my mind was I thinking, man, thank God this isn't Charmander. I guess what my issue is with that mentality is that it's taking a positive and turning it into a negative. It feels like rather than being unified by this choice, that it alienates those who like Charmander. And considering how he was the 4th highest ranked Pokemon overall just last year, I can imagine that there are people who just like him a lot. Which should then say to those people, haha, your Pokemon isn't the starter in this game, it's just mean. And maybe I'm misremembering this next scenario, but when Sword and Shield came out and all the problems were that the Pokedex would only start with 400 Pokemon, were those same fans going out with their Charizard and making posts about, haha, thank God Litten isn't in this game? And as far as I remember, no they weren't. And frankly, I know a ton of them who were frustrated the decks would be limited just the same as the others. Now this might sound a bit cliche, but that time when Sword and Shield was announced and we all aired our grievances, it felt like Pokemon fans were on the same page. Some people will be fine either way because it's Pokemon, but the majority of people wanted Game Freak to do something about it and were openly frustrated about it. Which I think is great. When fans can get together and rally against something and change it for the better, Sonic movie. But the nature of tweets like this, which practically poke fun at other fans, just isn't okay in my opinion. Like I said, you can love the cynical choice. In fact, it's exactly what I'm doing. But as I said before, by taking that positive energy and turning it negative, you're doing yourself and the other fans a disservice. Now, going beyond that and onto YouTube, I gotta say outright that some of y'all need to reevaluate while you're making videos. Cause man, some of the uploads I've seen are just disappointing. We're gonna take a look at one specifically for what I'm gonna mention today. Now, I'm not gonna frame for phrase indulge in analysis and dissection of why I disagree with some of the statements made by Verlisify's video, but I will reference two things which go hand in hand as to why I disagree. First being that word again, expectation. He mentioned that this game is what he would imagine a Pokemon Breath of the Wild would look like, but toned down significantly. Which, don't get me wrong, in some of the screenshots it does look a bit dull. However, my next point is that it's an early build of the game. It won't release for another year. And in terms of dev time for visual polish, for mechanic updates, add animations, and battle transition, a year is a long time. Especially when you're tackling an old formula with a brand new approach like this. And then there are several features from the game which he notates are why he plays Pokemon, such as being a trainer and dominating the league. And from a strictly one-to-one main series Pokemon game perspective, I get that. In fact, those are some of the same grievances people had with Pokemon Sun and Moon. It felt different and it tackled the formula in a different way. But to discredit the ambition of an open-world Pokemon game that is very clearly an early build with a grievance of it's not what I would have expected, just doesn't sit well with me. And I'm not saying it's bound to be the best Pokemon game in years. In fact, I share some of the same grievances Verlisify shared in his video. However, it's also not in a place where it's completed. So to make a title such as Pokemon Legends Arceus is a complete disappointment just seems so extreme to me. And listen, I know this whole YouTube game, you gotta get the clicks, I get it, it's a good title, I'll give you that. But it just feels really, really far-fetched to say that this game is already a disappointment when we haven't seen anything yet. And listen, I promise I'm not trying to invalidate their opinion on this, but to me this just feels like a step too far considering we've only just seen it for the first time. But hey, as they say, opinions are like favorite Pokemon. Everyone has one. However, as a lasting note for this video, I want to say once again that the people making these claims I take issue with are a smaller group within the massive fandom that is Pokemon. And hey, for the most of us, we're all extremely excited for the places the series is going. And I'm definitely sorry to you if you don't feel the same. And I hope over the next couple of months that the games appeal to you more. But to loop back to my initial point in this video, I know everyone won't be satisfied with the decisions made by the Pokemon Company. I know that in general as a concept, something like that is completely unfavorable and arguably impossible. However, if nothing else, I hope this video inspires you to push for one thing. A world where we can all unapologetically love and discuss Pokemon openly with our opinions. And hey, if you disagree with any of my thoughts and think I'm wrong, I fully invite you to comment and let me know. But as a general rule of thumb, if we can keep the discussion kind and level-headed, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, this video was originally going to be a quick 5-minute commentary, which is a lot more ranty. But I kind of wanted to make this a bit longer as well as really delve into why I have these issues. So that being said, hopefully you get what I'm saying here. And if you like what you heard, maybe consider leaving a like and maybe subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Are you excited for any of these new Pokemon games? Definitely let me know what you're looking forward to in the comments below. But for right now, I'm gonna dip, so I hope you stay safe and be bold, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.